we don't even want to get into flights, but flight on Friday night, delayed so late I had to take a flight Saturday morning. Flew they showed the Knicks game, by the way, on the big screen. The Knicks got stomped, so curb stomped.
Did they show it in the big screen?
It was on the thing.
Queens?
Don't you check my Instagram?
Not every day.
I mean, geez.
I take a weekend off here and there.
I mean,
Actually, I was paying attention to something that you did. Now, Kratz, AJ doesn't play anymore, right, in the bigs, but he's actually still making an impact in Major League Baseball. You know what I'm talking about?
He's a motivator. I mean, he motivates his ex-teammates. But I want to know, before we get to that, I want to know which city's better. Is Chicago or New York City better?
Oh, Chicago. Are you kidding me?
He's biased.
Are you kidding me? That's not even is that a question? That is not a question.
It's totally
That's not even a question.
Lock in today.
Whoa!
For the best.
That's what happens when you're on a plane and then you drive 10 hours home overnight from college. Yeah.
College hits you hard.
You went to college. You can't handle college. You can't handle it's too much for you. You're more of a high school guy. It's okay.
Yeah. No. Listen, Chicago's better, but I mean, I am biased. I do like New York for like a couple days, but they did show the Celtics. True story. I walked into Mendy's office and the game was just starting. I go, the Celtics are going to crush him today. He's like, no. And then it was like they were lost by like 30.
They were going to sweep them. I mean,
yeah, but you didn't think they were going to lose by 30.
Mendy had no idea.
Yeah,
Mendy had it on. Mendy was watching.
Ready was supportive.
And so was Counts. No, actually, Counts had baseball. I'm sorry. No, Mendy had it.
He did. Yeah.
But the hoops game was on the big screen at Citi Field.
Leading up to the game?
They had it on the whole time. Even when they were down by 40, they still had it on.
Oof. Okay, so lastly from that game, Cubs and Mets on Saturday. AJ was on the call. Ken was down there as well. Cade Horton's debut, which we'll get to later in the show. Post-game, Dansby Swanson spoke to Ken and gave AJ a shout-out. We're not going to actually show the clip because I feel like MLB will probably flag it and get us in trouble for it, but we can show the tweet, which has the quote, I will have to give AJ Pierzynski a hard time because he told me I better do something cool today. Of course, Dansby had a home run in that game, and his team won. That was the only game they won in that 3-gamer.
Yeah.
What'd you say to him?
Oh, you got to remember I played with Dansby, so I was there when he made his debut. So I've known Dansby for 10 years now. So when he was just a pup, like it's so weird when you call these guys like young kids. Like he's 30 years old, so you're like, man, just young kid, But he was a pup when I first had him in 2016. He first came up, so I just was talking to him in the dugout before the game. I was like, congrats on your baby because they're having him and Mallory are having a baby. And then as he was kind of walking away, I was like, do something cool today so I can say something good about you. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, hit a homer and flip your bat. And he goes, I don't bat flip. And I go, do it today just for fun. So he hit the homer and he didn't bat flip. Of course.
He didn't. No.
He did not.
No.
And that's why Ken asked the question, because if you saw the at-bat, he took 2 heaters right down the middle. Took the slider, and then the third one he whacked for a homer. And I said that he was setting him up because he took the 2 heaters and then he got the one and didn't miss it. And so Ken asked him, it was a great question by Ken, and then Dansby's answer was hilarious. And so then I text Dansby after the game and I said, dude, nice homer, but what about the bat flip? And he just said, thanks, but I don't bat flip. And then, the standard, keep in touch. Hopefully we'll get you on the show soon.
Yes.
He said he would come on. So if anybody out there wants Dansby Swanson to come on the show,
I would love Dansby on the show.
He's great. He's great. We had an awesome, hopefully we can get him on soon because we had an awesome conversation about hitting in today's baseball. And it was a different conversation than I've ever had with any other player. It was really awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can bring that on.
We need to have him on to have him discuss what we were talking about. It was in depth, and it was like a 2-minute conversation, but it was one of the coolest conversations I'd ever had.
Okay, so we're going to work on, it's on my notes, scheduled Dansby this or next week, Monday through Thursday. We got to have AJ on for that one. So you weren't on Friday, obviously. You're traveling. You got Fox game on Saturday. You did miss a little bit of drama. So we actually have an update since we last did our show, because when we last left the Devers drama, it was pre-one-on-one meeting with owner John Henry. Now let's charge.
Charging the mound.
On Friday, John Henry, owner of the Red Sox, Sam Kennedy, president of the Red Sox, and Craig Breslow, chief baseball officer of the Red Sox, flew to Kansas City. Man, they really went for it. Flew to Kansas City courageously to meet with Rafael Devers after he kind of blasted Craig Breslow and said essentially he wasn't going to play first, at least not for now. Henry spoke directly with Devers. Breslow just said in a group interview that was on Nesson that he called the conversation productive, although he wasn't in that conversation. And no decision had been made yet about Devers in first base. Alex Cora also was in on that combo, but not sure how much talking he did. Thoughts here on what's happening?
It's a lot. It's just a lot.
We've got time.
I'm going to let Kratz go. I guess Kratz got to talk about this on Friday.
This is all you,
it's
baby.
Just if you got to fly the owner and the GM to a place, you got a problem. Now, I did find out he doesn't have a no trade, so he can be traded. So that's kind of a big thing. That they could trade. Now, will someone take him? I don't know. But he can be traded.
He's got a lot of money on that deal.
He does have he's got a lot of years and money. Now, the thing is, he's still young, and he can rake. I don't know. Gosh, why wasn't Craig Breslow in the conversation?
They're mad at each other.
You'd still would be like, I want to be in the conversation. At least sit there and listen. You don't mean to have to speak. I don't know. The whole thing to me is just crazy that it's come to this. And it all started because all they had to do was pick up the phone. Now, the question for me is Alex Cora, Craig Breslow, John Henry, okay? Mm-hmm. Is Cora stuck between Breslow and Devers? It seems like that, right? But then why would Cora come out and say he's not playing first base no matter what? Now, was that a shot at the GM or was it a shot at the player?
I'm going to go with option D, none of the above. I don't think Cora's on either side. I think he's in the middle island. I think he just doesn't want him to play in the field. Okay. I don't think it has to do with Devers or with Breslow. I think Breslow says, hey, I'm a GM. I want to maximize the lineup. I'm going to put Devers at first. Kratz, for me, I think Alex Cora has it in his head that Devers is best on this team as a DH. Part of that could be he knows him and he wants him to just focus on hitting. Part of that, and coming off a shoulder injury last year and barely played in spring training and all of that. Part of it also could just be that Devers is a bad defender and he doesn't have a lot of faith in him learning the position midseason.
Or the fact that the other guys, it might be just an equal sum. The other guys, according to Cora, they already have an awful defense. It's just an equal sum if they just keep putting guys over there. They had Nick Sogard over there. They have Romy Gonzalez. I forget who else. Abraham Toro played there. He's maybe just the package of anybody that we put over there is going to equal Devers learning to play there in the middle of the season. Where Breslow's looking at it as, I have X amount of money in a guy. I think really a lot of it hinges on Yoshida. If he comes back, I get it. His injuries might be worse than what we think. But if he comes back, how can you maximize the most value in that lineup, getting the most guys in? And I don't know any GM who's like, man, I just want to have one dude pigeonholed at DH. It feels like it kind of comes down to some teams pigeonholing a guy at DH. All right, well, this guy can't play right field anymore, so we'll put him at DH. And I think as a GM, it kind of really pushes you into a corner, and Cora sees it day in and day out, and he's like, first base ain't that easy. I'd rather take somebody that's a little more athletic and try to get him going.
But why would you – it goes back to the original conversation that they had with Rafael Devers after they signed Bregman, right? You just pick up the phone and say, hey, we're thinking about signing Bregman. Are you okay with that? He's not going to say – he can't say no. He'll say yes. Now, then the next question obviously is, where am I going to play? You promised me to be the third baseman, and I'm not the third baseman. Fine. You have that conversation. But you try to do that pre-Bregman signing, which they messed up. Okay, stuff happens. The next thing, is why is Alex Bregman so adamant that he doesn't play in the field? And I get Kratz's side, he has a bad shoulder. But why would he not take Devers? Right. But why would he not take ground balls somewhere? Just take him at third, take him at first. BP, walk out there and take 20 ground balls. You can get – because no matter what you think of Rafael Devers, at some point in his career, he was probably going to move to first base. Mm-hmm. Right? So why – then they go back to the Red Sox and say, why haven't they had at least some – practice for him there, some work for him there. Even when he was younger, everyone kind of said at some point he's going to have to move.
Why hasn't that happened since spring training?
Why hasn't it happened? That's what my question. Why has this not happened?
They said throw your glove away for this year.
I know. That's why is Alex Cora so adamant about it.
That's why, part of the fandom in me looks and says, you asked for this team to do stuff before last spring training after they had another mid-year in 2024. They did stuff. And now they want you to be a team player and try first base. That's part of me. The other part is, how do you mess up the communication? It doesn't sound that complicated. Talk to him in the offseason that you're pursuing a guy that you think you have a really good chance at, okay? Then you get to spring training and say, hey, we'd like you to stay active at third and maybe even a little first. Is that cool? Now, maybe that happened, but it doesn't appear that there's been a lot of communication with Devers and the rest of the bigwigs in the organization. That's the part that throws me off. Because if you're a superstar, sorry, Kratz, if you're a superstar and you're the top paid guy there, don't you feel like the respect level is getting a little bit weird with the organization? If you were him.
He said it.
This is what we want.
He said it. Everyone's calling him a baby and saying, just go play. Yeah. That's exactly what Devers has said. That's exactly what he said.
But if you were him, would you be pissed at the team for the way that they've been communicating with you?
Yes.
Hey, dude, we signed him. We haven't talked to you about it. Throw your glove away 1 month later. Hey, go over to first base. Doesn't it feel like he's being talked to as if he's the 26th man and not the DH that's getting paid a lot of money and is really good at the plate? That's the part where I'm like, there's beef.
There's beef in how it's handled, and we obviously don't know who's covering up for who. Maybe Alex Cora is trying to cover up for some things that Devers said, or Breslow's, or Cora's covering up for what Breslow said. We don't know who is covering up for who, but ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're on this team and you ask the team to get better players, they went out and did that. Clearly, they went out and got Crochet. They went out and signed Chapman. They went out and got Bregman. Now, if you're like, man, I want to go and win another World Series, now it's your job to do that. And as a GM, it's his job to get the players that you said you wanted. And I think whoever's talking to who or not talking enough to anybody, it's ultimately on the players to go out and put their team in the best position to win.
What I found interesting is that there was the report, did it come out Friday, that some player was like, stop talking, Rafi?
Yeah, that was on our show. Chris Smith joined us, and I mean, he's not going to say who it is, but he did say.
He's in the back.
Who has the juice in that room? Bregman? Who else has the juice in that room to go to Devers and say that? Bregman would be the only one, and maybe Story? I mean, if Bregman says it to Rafi's like, dude, he could. I mean, I don't know this, so this is just speculation, but he could look at Bregman and be like, dude, you took my job. I'm not listening to you.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if they said it to him or if he just said it. You know how, like, I mean, I'm just picturing when I covered players in the clubhouse more consistently, guys in a corner, he's just like, stop talking. Like, Devers probably didn't even hear that. That was the way I took it.
Okay.
Not that he was like, hey, stop talking. I think he was just mouthing it because the Red Sox reporters that were all in the clubhouse said they felt angst from multiple players that were just like.
And heard it too. But, that's where some of the guys started getting a little mad because the reporters reported that they heard guys disagreeing with what Devers was saying, not on the record. And then it was like the whole like attaboy Harper thing. And it was like, no. Like this stuff was said. It just wasn't said on the record.
So let's finish with this. Just quick poll. Yes or no? Raise your hand if you think Rafael Devers plays first base for the Red Sox in 2025. Wow. Clean sweep? Oh, you do think he does?
I think he will.
Okay. Kratz?
I think it will.
I'm no. I'm a no.
Not for a month on a consistent basis. I mean, he came around.
He said one time. Does he play first base?
I said he'll get out there. Somewhere along the way, it's going to happen. He'll get out.
100%.
You guys do?
Yes.
Because I think it's going to be a yes or a no, and I think I'm just going no.
I think the pressure will mount enough on Rafi, which is always kind of what happens, especially in big market towns. If the first baseman just keeps struggling, Yoshida comes back, they're going to say, hey, we need you to do this.
Yeah.
But they should start working with him now. They shouldn't wait till a month from now and say, all right, we need you to play first. Like, he needs to be out there now taking ground balls every day. He should have already been out there because this was always a real thing. Like, I thought they would at least start him at third and have Bregman, but I didn't realize Christian Campbell would be what he is, right? So then, but Casas was always the question mark. So he should have been from the first day of spring training with Yoshida and some of the other guys taking ground balls at first. That shouldn't have even been a question. It should have been, Rafi, just go over there and take grounders, dude. You never know. Mm-hmm. Okay. You never know. You might not play third, but you might get to play first.
Yep. And I didn't get the impression that they ever asked that.
What are you doing that you couldn't take him during BP? Even like one group. Like there's no way you have something that you're doing. I used to take ground balls. I used to catch up. Like it's just one of those things. Move around, get out there, and I don't know. I think it's on him if he wants the team to win. Truly.
Big disconnect. If only they did a documentary on the team this year. Oh wait, they did that last year. Anyway, we got more drama. We're going to cover the Colorado Rockies letting loose on their manager and letting him go. That's coming up next, as we'll bring on our first guest of the day, Patrick Lyons. But also want to remind you, we talk about the Red Sox every day on Monster Territory. That's Robbie Hyde. There is him with Alex Cora in the offseason. Robbie's all over this story. Check it out wherever you get your pods. Be right back on the Rockies, canning Bud Black. This is a straightforward show, so I'm going to be very straightforward with everyone about PXG. Fastest way to improve your performance on the golf course is to get yourself a PXG golf fitting. Go in there and let the experts help you.
I've been using PXG for a few years now, Scotty. They are perfect. I love the way they feel. They fit them perfectly to my swing. They weighted them. They put grips in them. They put shafts in them. They use their heads, and they fit my swing beautifully. They have definitely improved my game. They just recently hooked me up with their new Allen putter, which is off the chain. I was draining putts the other day, left and right. So I definitely say, go get your fitting at PXG. Nobody goes golf the way PXG does.
Yes, and for a limited time, you could save up to 20% on your entire order. Head over to pxg.com/foul. That's pxg.com/FOUL to save up to 20% on your entire order. pxg.com/foul. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Hey, Kratz, do you notice anything cool on the desk? Let's get the desk in the shot here so Kratz can observe. Thank you.
Oh, Subway Series? Oh, no, the golden bat that AJ won. Oh, wait a minute.
All of those things.
Oh, wait a minute. What is that? What is that? Are you hipster?
It's presented to Foul Territory for passing 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So thanks to the YouTube fam. Thank you. We're at 130K now, actually. But thank you to everyone for subscribing to FT, for playing a part in obviously watching our videos, interacting with us, the whole deal. Cool. Nice.
When's the next one? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I don't know what the next milestone is. Is it 1 million? There's nothing between 100
There's nothing
and
between 100,000 and 1 million?
Woo.
It's a big jump.
Are you sure, Kratz?
That's what I was told. I was told it is and it's like a gold or platinum. I'm not 100% sure, but they were talking about it. But
it's going to be a minute until we get anything else.
Yeah, it could be.
We'll be there soon. At this pace,
is intimidating. I know we're at a good pace. Like if people like the vanity of the six figures, clearly that's played a part here. But yes, 1 million is apparently a gold play button, but silver's nice. We'll take silver. It blends in really nicely on the desk.
That's so big league of you, Scott. Some dude makes an all-star team in the big leagues, and they're like, I want to make 10 of them. Not just, hey, we're going to enjoy this. We're going to enjoy this plaque. Like, we're already searching for the million. We want the goal.
Of course. I just wanted to know the next goal. We're goal-oriented hosts.
Yep. Get it.
All right, we're going to bring on a guest in a couple minutes to talk about this, but let's go over the breaking news in the last 24 hours that Bud Black has been let go by the Rockies. He managed the team for a long time, almost a decade, but this will be a third consecutive 100-loss season. You can book that. There's a chance that this team is the worst of all time. He's replaced by Warren Schaefer, who will be the interim manager. He was the third base coach. Mike Redmond, the bench coach, is also out. Clint Hurdle is going to be the bench coach, who was just hired as the hitting coach a few weeks ago. I mean, what are we expecting?
This is what we were expecting. Not a fire. No, nobody wants to see anybody get fired. But I I don't know. Like, it's not his fault. We said this. It's not Bud Black's fault. It's not Mike Redmond's fault. He's the bench coach.
Whose fault is it?
The people who brought in the players, start with the owner, the GM, the
Can't fire
president of
the
baseball ops, all of them. The scouts. I mean, I hate to see people, the development guys, it's a systematic failure. They're in a tough division. The one big player they went on signed, Chris Bryant, he can't play because he's got a bad back, right? Their starting pitching has been horrendous this year. Even guys like, that they were counting on, Marquez, Freeland, those guys that have been unbelievably bad. Dollander they've called up. He hasn't helped. Tovar's been out for pretty much the whole year. It's just a systematic failure. There's no other way to put it. Question for both you guys. Who's the Rockies All-Star? We had this conversation on Saturday. Who's the Rockies All-Star?
Cheater, you're going to look it up.
Me?
I'm gonna say,
what is there to look up? I mean, you want me to do that on the fly with this team? No,
the reaction Scott had was like, McMahon? Brennan Doyle? Who?
I just had to think Brennan Doyle or Goodrum. Goodman.
Hunter Goodman.
Hunter Goodman is. Yeah. I was thinking Nico Goodrum, but no. Hunter Goodman. I mean, he's putting together. He's putting together a good year. Like behind the dish, banging out dingers. But ultimately, it is a culmination of a lack of moves. You bring in a few pieces here and there. You don't address major weaknesses, and Bud Black's like, you know what? The guys really like me, but we can't keep a lead. We can't. And this year, it's crazy. Their offense has been ice cold, or I think they went like 15 games without scoring more than 5 runs. A Colorado Rockies team without scoring more than 5 runs, like that's like a Giants team that just is pitching in defense. Like that's a crazy stat for a Rockies team.
Bill Schmidt, who's running the front office, said, I think our guys are still playing hard. That's what I'm looking at. Guys are working hard every day. He basically said, I don't think we're at the point of firing Bud Black before Saturday's game. Then they lost 21-0. And then on Sunday, they fired Bud Black after they picked up a win. So let's talk this out right now. Patrick Lyons is the Rockies insider. He is joining us. Patrick, great to have you on. Ooh, where do we begin? How about Dave Roberts, who, was mentored by Bud Black for a long time, saying, I don't think Casey Stengel could change the outcome of that ball club, and that's not the manager's fault. So slice this one up for us. What's gone wrong and what possibly could improve?
Well, you guys talking about it before, really hit the nail on the head with everything. It's been a systemic failure, from top to bottom, and a lot of those decisions come from owner Dick Monfort, and he's the one that's been pushing these buttons and was the one that wanted Chris Bryant to begin with, and now Brian has been a part of 4 of the worst seasons in franchise history, the 4 worst seasons, and this one isn't even done yet. So there's been a lot of shortchanging various areas, various departments from this organization, and it's really just been a lot of complacency. And one thing you didn't mention that I know is really interesting to a lot of baseball folks is the fact that there's still 30 plus in the building on Saturday for a team on pace to lose 137 games. There was 38,000 people to go see Padres Rockies. So it's a little bit recession proof. And so despite the fact that I think the Rockies are losing some money right now, they're able to get away with it without making those grander changes. And this has really just been something that's been coming down the pike for the last couple years, and it's just finally reached a head.
You said shortchanging. I mean, there's so many things I want to unpack there, but the shortchanging, you got rid of Hensley Mullins. Bam Bam Mullins, the hitting coach. You got rid of PJ Pelleteri last year because you went from 3 hitting coaches to 2 when every other team has 3. And then you get rid of Bam Bam. You bring in Clint, who gets it back to 2, and now Clint's now the bench coach. Like, do they think that just people are going to just poof appear and take jobs that help players improve on a daily basis?
Well, that's shortchanging, right? That's trying to save money on the periphery for coaches, and then some of their developmental people and folks working really multiple jobs within the organization. You mentioned something, AJ said something about president of baseball operations. They have a team president, but they don't have a president of baseball operations. I know that's something that they're discussing right now behind the scenes within the front office of maybe adding a role like that to perhaps take away a little bit on the plate of Dick Monfort, or take a little bit away from the decision-making processes from him, because he has been really at the forefront a lot of these moves, and in hiring Bill Schmidt, who has done some of his bidding. He's tried to do his best for the most part, but I think, they've been handcuffed a little bit because of some of the decisions Dick Monfort has made, and some of the choices and some of the directions, I should say, that they've been wanting to go. And a lot of that does have to do with saving money and having less personnel. They said streamlining was the reason why they were going from the 3 hitting coaches down to 2. And it's despite the fact they're having, one of the worst offensive seasons in franchise history, they're not going to go back up to 3. You're right. They've got 1 now. They've got some other guys coming along the way, and Jordan Pacheco and Nick Wilson. But still, they are shortchanging and not investing in the roster or in development as much as the other 29 teams in Major League Baseball.
Patrick, is this a owner failure then? Because I can't imagine that Dick Monfort would not want to go get players, right? Or is this and I say this all the time on this show, the Rockies have to do something different, right? They have to go back to the Blake Street Bombers and just say, we're just going to outslug it. We're going to try and win 60 home games a year and take our chances on the road and just bash people to death, or do something different, right? So is this a ownership failure? Is it a GM failure? It's not Bud Black's fault. I mean, Bud Black, say what you want about how he managed, whatever, but it wasn't his fault. He's only given certain players. You can't make players do things they can. I know they're going to say different message, but is this more of an owner? This can't be a GM fault, so it's got to start at the top, and that's never going to change because he draws $3 million a year, and he's like, I'm cashing checks, I'm good.
Yeah, owner and GM obviously have failed, but to your point, I think Monfort has cut the legs out from underneath his general managers in the past. Again, the Chris Bryant signing, unilaterally coming up with the deal for Nolan Arenado. There was a trade back in, I think it was 2015, where they had an opportunity to acquire a big-time prospect for 2 months rental for Jorge De La Rosa. And Peter Gammons at the time reported that Dick Monfort stepped in and nullified that deal. And that prospect was Eduardo Rodriguez. And that's a guy that, if you put him into that Rockies rotation, that might have changed certain things, pretty quickly. So I think it's a lot of it has to do with Dick Monfort and that sense of control. And it's not really clear why he doesn't want to go out and have baseball people making the baseball decisions. With the amount of attendance that the Rockies get, Dick Monfort does a great job as a businessman, and he's very loyal. He takes great care of the employees, of the organization, and the players. But on the baseball side of things, he's not gifted at all in any way, and he just refuses to turn the reins over to someone who does know what they're doing, or even go outside the organization. That was something that when Jeff Bridich stepped aside in 2021, Monfort did say that we might have to go outside the organization, and we'll certainly look. After Bill Schmidt was appointed as the interim GM, he decided that making one trade at the deadline was a good enough job. And so Bill Schmidt continues to be the general manager. And then, the next trade deadline in 2022, Colorado was the only team that didn't make a deal ahead of the deadline. So there's been a lot of complacency, I think, coming out of ownership, and really much, if not all of the focus really does, lay on Dick Monfort's shoulders.
I've seen a theme with the historically bad teams in the last few years. They are losing significantly at the margins. Have you witnessed any players or any development issues within the Rockies that you can point out? I mean, the way it's described to me by players is that they'll go to most teams and it's a corporation, right? They've got information for them on what they can change. They've got amazing prep for them before every game. There's so many different resources and luxuries. And then they go to the Rockies and it's just a baseball team. They're like, just go out there and play. And that's how much of a difference it is. And the game has passed by Dick Monfort because he's the one that actually approved budgets to do things like this. Often these things are not super expensive in the grand scheme of baseball. It's like, hey, we should really have this thing that every other team has. It costs $200K. He's like, nah, we don't need it. So have you heard anything about that? Because that's the digging I've done. And I've heard that pretty frequently for a while now.
Well, Colorado certainly has said the quiet part out loud, and every time they bring in a new player, it's usually because he wanted to be here, not because necessarily, we need an addition here, or we need an improvement, we need to step up in some sort of capacity. It's that this guy was willing to come here in a certain capacity. And so I think that speaks volumes to the Rockies kind of going by the wayside and being as somewhat of a last resort for a lot of players. It was only a couple years ago that they put together a pitching lab at their facility down at Salt River Fields down in Scottsdale, Arizona. And even that is still years behind. It was after the 2019 season when they did immediate availability. And I think Bud Black said that, the team was probably 5 or more years behind everybody else in Major League Baseball in terms of analytics departments. And then from there, the analytics team dwindled down to where they only had one at one point, towards the end of the pandemic. So they've reinvested in that just a little bit, but they certainly fall way behind pretty much what is considered to be the standard across Major League Baseball in just about every category.
Do all the 3 million fans that come out to these games want the Rockies to win, or have they done a good job of making it entertainment? Like, you'd go to a concert and you're like, I want to hear a good concert, but I'm here for the vibes.
It's 100% vibes at this point. There have been people who've been longtime season ticket holders that have given up their season tickets, and it's pretty much considered to be the best outdoor sports bar in Denver, where people hang out up at the rooftop and it's totally packed. The beers are somewhat affordable compared to a lot of the bars in Lodo. And there was something that Purple Row, they do a wonderful job where they had someone go down and talk with fans, and some of them couldn't name any of the current players on the team. Certainly becomes a lot harder with Charlie Blackmon just having retired. Nobody knew any of the prospects. I've even heard tales of folks going up to the rooftop and asking, do you know who's even playing tonight? And that can certainly be a challenge when usually the fans are the ones that send the message to the front office that, hey, things need to change and we're not going to show up. But there continually are people that will take the place of those hardcore fans, either because they're transplants and continuing to move into Colorado, or because Denver is still relatively affordable. So no matter what team you root for, when the Padres come to town, the Padres fans travel really well. We even saw Let's Go Tigers chant during this past week. And I don't think folks from Detroit usually have that kind of income to be traveling and going to all kinds of various cities across the U.S., but yet they were able to go out and support their team in Denver. So it does feel more and more as these 100 lost seasons continue to pile up that it's almost a 50-50 break between people that are there to actually see the Rockies and people who are there to actually see the opposing team.
Well, there's a lot of teams that run into that problem, but from what you just said, I don't know if you heard us talking about this before you came on, but who's the Rockies All-Star this year? If you had to look at it right now, and how many of those fans could name the guy who is going to be their All-Star? Because I don't know who it is. I mean, you look at it, Goodman maybe would be the one, but there's a lot of good catching in the AL, so that's a rough spot to start. But who's their All-Star?
Right now, if you're looking at wins above replacement, Jake Bird is probably going to do that. And sometimes the All-Star teams will pick up a setup man and give that guy credit. In the past, I think Bud Black has been integral in getting the player that he thinks should go to the All-Star game, because usually it's 2 or 3 players that are kind of the best options. It was Herman Marquez's time in 2021, and so he ended up getting the nod. Elias Diaz was neck and neck with a couple other players like Ryan McMahon, but it was Diaz's turn to get it. Last year, it was McMahon's turn, and it really felt like this year, it still probably might end up being Brenton Doyle. That's probably where my money would go if I were a betting man, that he'll turn things around and be a little bit better. But now with Bud Black not there and not being able to talk with, the National League championship winner, the manager of that side, I really don't know. Jake Bird, Brenton Doyle, that's probably where it's going to end up being.
Did you see this coming? The Bud Black firing, in the sense that, or was it when Clint Hurdle came in, was it like, uh-oh, there's somebody prowling around here that has a chance to supplant Bud? And did you think it was going to be Clint that was going to step in?
Not necessarily. It did seem like maybe the writing was on the wall when Clint was brought in just a little bit, and they could cohabitate and be fine. They're both, two professionals and respect each other. So that wasn't an issue. When Warren Schaefer was added to the big league coaching staff as the third base coach, it really seemed like he was going to be this heir apparent under the tutelage of Bud Black. And it was really only going to be a matter of time when that would actually happen. And, even when that change made and Bam Bam was let go as the hitting coach, and became the scapegoat, so to speak, for a lot of the organizational problems that they've been having. And Clint Hurdle came in. That was a surprise to me because, again, it's very rare to lose 100 games in back-to-back seasons and then come back as the manager for year 3. So even that firing was a surprise. And then, on Saturday night with the 21-0 loss, it felt like when Bud Black left that room that was probably going to be the last time that I saw him. And I think because Derek Shelton was fired, the Rockies operate almost as like the 29th, team 29 in every way. And as long as there's one team that's doing worse than them in some capacity, they can always point and say, well, at least we're not those guys. And as soon as Derek Shelton lost his job in Pittsburgh, it seemed like, well, the Rockies are now number 30. Bud Black has to be on the hottest seat. And with that loss, 21-0, 24 hours after GM Bill Schmidt said, hey, our confidence is with this guy, everything's fine, enough was enough. And they just had to do something different, despite the fact that it really is just lip service for a roster that isn't just going to get magically better overnight because there's a new guy in charge.
It was a good thing Tatis threw for 400 yards in that game against the Rockies to get to 21. I mean, that was unbelievable.
3 tutties.
Yeah, 3 tutties. All right. I mean, listen, we've beat that to death. It's not Bud Black's fault, and we also know it's coming. But the White Sox slogan this year, as we've been told, is just don't be as bad as the Rockies. So welcome to White Sox land, Rocky fans. Now, what's the future? That's what I want to know. What do they do? Who do they sign? They're not going to sign. They've shown no willingness to go out and play in the free agent market. So what's the future? Because the Dodgers aren't going away. The Padres don't seem like they're going away. The Diamondbacks aren't going away. The Giants are now back in it with Buster Posey. How do they get back into some sort of, let's start with respectability before we even start talking about playoffs?
After 2021, when they lost Trevor Story and John Gray, and they had traded Nolan Arenado, before that season, it was a rebuild. And the Rockies don't like to use that word rebuild, which seems ridiculous considering, how poorly they played the last 3 years. They now need to rebuild again. And they don't even have a ton of trade chips right now because of how poorly they've been playing. So despite the fact that they can get rid of guys on 1-year deals, they're not going to get a ton in return. That's not going to improve their roster all that much. So it's going to take a much more larger organizational overhaul, which I'm not convinced they are committed in doing, but that would really be the only possible solution for them to get this thing back on track. And even then, if they were to do something like that, it might not be until 2029, 2030 that this team ends up getting themselves back to some little bit of respectability, because the guys that are in this clubhouse, they've suffered through it. They've been traumatized in many ways. Like Brenton Doyle, as great of a player as he's never been a part of a team that's lost 99 games or less. Like that's an unfortunate thing. And so cleaning house slowly but surely and making some larger organizational changes, putting in a president of baseball operations, revitalizing the minor league system, because despite the fact that they draft high every year, they're not developing as well as they should be, despite considering themselves a draft and develop team. And as you guys know, you talked about it last year with the White Sox. They set a record for most losses, 121 L's, and yet they could only pick 10th in the 2025 MLB draft. The same fate is befalling the Rockies right now, because they can only select 10th in 2026, despite right now being on a 133 loss pace.
And that is the
What'd
beauty of the lottery.
Welcome to the White Sox. Welcome to White Sox fandom, Rocky fans. Congratulations.
The lottery is great.
I love that they can't pick till 10th, because it should discourage tanking like the NBA does and other leagues do. Good.
Tanking.
You should have to try to win.
Yeah.
And by the way, let me just say this. If they break the White Sox record this year, which they're well on their way to do, gosh, it sucks to be a White Sox fan. We can't have anything nice. We set the loss record. They're going to lose it after 1 year. At least let us have it for a couple years.
You guys won in 2005. You've won in the 21st century.
Yeah, but still, at least let us have one nice thing.
You've got the Pope. Do you need more than
That's
that?
That's a great point. It's a great point. Yeah, we win.
The Pope's an AJ fan.
Yeah, we win. Didn't you see him on our game on Saturday night? He was wearing my jersey. What do you want me to do?
He was at the 2005 World Series.
What do you mean, no?
Did you guys do like a graphic or something?
Yeah, they made like him in my jersey.
Yeah.
Yep. Love it. Well, this was great. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone give Patrick a follow at Patrick D. Lyons, Lyons. Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too. Be right back covering hot streaks for the Cardinals and Twins. Sometimes we get the asks for lightweight hoodies, and I'm like, they exist. They're awesome at Rowback.
Without a doubt. Comfort, lightweight, durability. I wear these all the time. The color schemes are absolutely phenomenal.
Go check it out. You can use the code FOUL on rowback.com for 20% off your first purchase. That's FOUL on RHOBACK.com. 20% off all shorts, hoodies, polos, and more. Go check out Rowback. We are back and talking about a truly embarrassing performance, as our teammate Cam Maitman said from the weekend. Adrian Gonzalez had a lot of missed calls. Here's umpire auditor said worst game calling of the season so far. 17 calls, in the first 5.5 innings were missed. 13 of them went against the Minnesota Twins. Rocco Baldelli, the manager, complained he was ejected. We're about to talk about the Twins, but at least it didn't affect the final result.
Got a nice ejection, though.
I'm saying the Twins still won. I mean,
but it was a nice
affected the final
ejection.
result.
We got us a nice ejection.
It's good for the Twins. Firing them
They're
up.
500.
Above.
I know.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But as far as the call, I mean, we do perfect games, and we call out the worst game of the season.
Patrick Bailey was doing it. I mean, he was ripping them strikes. It feels tough. You should not have to pay your fine if you go out and argue balls and strikes and they were actually wrong. Like, you're not just sticking up for your team. You're trying to make the game fair. And you know what? Umpires have a bad game. Umpires shouldn't be fired over one bad game, or we'd be firing every starter that he throws a stinker up there. So let's pump the brakes on that, but this one was not good. It looked like they moved the plate on him. Like, it was just all, if you look at his scorecard, I mean, it is all just red up the one side. He was just like, hit, 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 hit.
I'm telling you, this kind of game is going to be one of the most entertaining regular season games in our generation starting next year, because it's just going to be boop,
concussion,
and you're wrong.
Hitters are
Boop,
just going to be getting a concussion.
Wrong. Yeah, tap that head.
Next pitch.
Think about it, though, AJ. You're going to have potentially, in a game like this, 15 head taps going against the umpire, because teams are going to get really smart on this. Umpires are in a worse situation. If you're something like Johnson and you're set on this, you're going to be in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Teams are going to see it, and they're going to know. I'm excited. This is why I love baseball. We're hitting better than box scores. The two hottest teams in the sport right now with 8-game winners, 8-game heaters, I should say. The Cardinals and the Twins have both won 8 games in a row. Cardinals have a tough stretch coming up, but nice little sweep over the weekend for them. Obviously, same thing with the Twins against what was supposed to be a pretty good Giants team.
Mm-hmm. Giants are faltering a little bit. They're starting to they're faltering, but they're still doing all right. They're still doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the Twins, holy cow, Rocco knew what he was doing in the Twins, a lot of people picked to win that division, so they're not as surprising because they got off such a terrible start. Let's talk Cardinal baseball, though. No one thought they would be this good at all.
22-19. I mean, the 2 sweeps they just had were Pittsburgh and the Nats, but
don't care.
They beat them.
I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
The Nats are a pesky little bunch.
Yeah,
the Nats.
They are.
Right? They're Nats. Damn Nats.
You want to show the Katie Wu tweet? Because this will help tell the story of.
But their defense has been incredible.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting. Don't tell me starting pitching doesn't win. Length in starting pitching doesn't win, because this tweet right here proves it.
That's right. So Katie Wu hosts Cardinal territory, also covers the team for The Athletic. She said the Cardinals lead the National League in rotation innings pitched. They have the 4th highest team average in baseball. They have not allowed an earned run in relief since last Sunday, about a week, right? And then they have the best DRS in the National League, defensive runs saved. Birds are surging, she said. Yeah, so there's the recipe that John Mozeliak likes to put together. I want length out of my starters. I want good defense. I want a little bit of contact, right? We're not going to be able to buy every big bopper in baseball, and they're doing it. Is it sustainable? Do you know who they have coming up? Kratz, Philly, Kansas City, Detroit, Arizona.
That's what Mozeliak's doing. Dang it. Even Chaim Bloom might be doing that. Like, hey, these next 9 against these tough 3-game sets that we got coming up, let's lose a couple of these because we want to make sure we're in a position to be able to not piss off St. Louis Cardinals fans even more and trade some of these guys. Because if they stay a few games over 500, NL Central, it's always winnable. You can always get in. Then they're not going to get rid of anybody, and all of a sudden you're going to lose a window of getting a chance to the reboot pushing you ahead earlier with your youth movement. So they're looking for a few losses here.
I don't know. I'm going against you.
Completely disagree with what
same
you
here.
Said. Completely disagree.
Who's
Mozeliak's last year? He wants to go out good.
That's what I'm saying.
He wants him to win, so he doesn't have to make those trades. I completely disagree with that. Why would Mozeliak want him to be bad? He's already taken enough from being bad.
Chaim might want some. He might want some prospects. Maybe not Mo. Mo wants to win. Okay, that's fair because he's won his entire.
I guarantee you, Chaim Bloom would rather win than lose because this is a team he did help put together. It's not like Chaim Bloom was doing nothing the last couple of years. He's been there for 2 years now.
And they didn't sell any parts in the offseason.
He was an advisor role, and he's just been sticking to the minor league stuff. So he's building the minor league up, building the staff up, building what they have.
That might have been what he told you, but I guarantee you he has some say in what's happening.
So would they want a 500 season and not get rid of anybody and not upgrade their prospects? Or would they want a below 500 season where they're like, okay, trade deadline, we're able to move Nolan Arenado because he's having a good year. We're able to get rid of Sonny Gray because he actually
Either one of those are going to get traded. They both said they're not going anywhere. So those two names you just brought up don't work. They both said, Arenado said no. Sonny Gray's come out and said, I ain't getting traded. I am not going anywhere. I don't care. I mean, he said it.
I think he'd go to Atlanta.
You think
in the offseason?
He'd be the only one?
I think he'd go to Atlanta because he lives in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, he lives in Nashville.
And it's a contender. I think that would
Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I think he would go down there because he'd be close to home. I think he'd be very.
I mean, he's been very adamant that he's not waiving his no trade.
Yes.
And Arenado's already turned down trades to places.
Yes, and that's why they're 22-19.
I agree. Arenado's having a great year. Sonny Gray's having a great year. I think the problem you have is if you don't trade those two, then who do you trade? Helsley? But if you're somewhat in it, you can't trade him. He's off the table. Here's the thing. They're one game out. If you're over 500 at the trade deadline, you don't make moves.
Correct.
I know the National League is way tougher than the American League, but you just don't. Excuse me.
NL Central has four teams in a similar spot.
And the Central's teams aren't that great.
No.
The other option then, do they add to their team? Do they get rid of some of their prospects to add somebody to help this? To help the fact that Jordan Walker's not playing great defense in right field and his hitting isn't really coming around. If they're that one game out or like 4 games above 500 at the trade deadline, do they now add?
Yes. If they're in a position to potentially win the division, they will add. Will they add crazy? No. But I think they would add at the trade deadline. I don't think that's far-fetched to think. It's early, though. It's early. We might talk about them in 10 days and be like, well, they just went on a 2-10 stretch or whatever, a 2-8 stretch in a 10-game span. But at least for now, it's interesting.
But the things that they're doing create a good team. Batting average and defensive runs saved. That creates good team and length, like AJ said, length from your starters.
Which is rare these days in our game.
That's
so
why
good for them.
Okay, we'll use the Cubs, right? For example, we just did the Cubs game. The Cubs have the Cubs and the Mets, their starters don't go deep, especially with Imanaga and Steele down. The Mets, I think, are 29th in baseball, 5.09 innings per start. I think one of the two.
They're low.
I thought it was the Mets. I don't have my notes in front of me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the Mets were
are low.
29th.
Dodgers, I think, are the lowest, right?
Dodgers are the low, but that's a whole different thing. But I think the Mets are 29th in baseball at like 5.09 innings per start, which catches up to you eventually.
It could. They've got starters coming back in.
But eventually your bullpen runs out of gas.
Yes.
I don't care how. I mean, unless you're the Dodgers and you just keep shuttling guys up and down.
Yeah. it certainly is a good sign when your starting pitching is eating up innings right now for the bullpen. All right, so we'll talk about the Twins when we swing back because Dan Hayes is going to join us, and their rotation has been fired lately too. FT fam, let's talk about the HOF app. If you're into parlays, but sometimes you're missing the mark more than you would like to, can I introduce you to some serious analytics on an app that is easy to read and comprehend? And I'm sitting next to a man who knows how to place a parlay.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is breaking down a parlay with this Hall of Fame app. There's the situations that you'll find easier to do. It's very helpful and understanding. And if you like, gambling, sometimes this is really good to know. So get on there, get on that Hall of Fame app and check it out.
Yeah, this is info that will help you, okay? With a 4.9 rating in the App Store and over 6,000 five-star reviews, safe to say that HOF has already helped a lot of people bet smarter. For a limited time only, FT listeners can get a 7-day free trial and 50% off their first month when they use code FOUL at checkout. Download the HOF app on iOS or Android. Enter code FOUL and you're all set. Then we'll talk Twins. So I don't want to give this a lot of time because I don't like to give asshole fans much attention. But apparently Lance McCullers Jr. and his family have been receiving threats, and they've got the police and MLB security on the case. So if you're a loser and you want to go after Lance, then you'll end up in prison. They'll figure it out. They usually do.
Why, though? Why?
Because people are psychopaths.
Why?
There's always a bad apple that ruins everything.
This is ridiculous, man. Like why do you want to go out and try to ruin, hurt somebody or make threats to somebody or any of that? Like, why? Like, what does that do for you as a person? That's what I always want to know. What does it make you feel better? Does it make the guy who sent the death threat feel better about himself because he's like, I got him? Like, you're no. Or when you do, you threaten anything with, I don't know. I was talking, gosh, I forget. I was talking to somebody this weekend and I said, they were talking about like getting angry or something. And I said, you go in there and you yell at your boss for 30 seconds. It makes you feel better for about 30 seconds. And then you walk out of there and you go, man, why did I do that? I feel like an idiot. Right? Like, and listen, as somebody that used to get really mad when they played, and I did a lot of stupid stuff, but at the end I was like, why did I do that? I tried to get better. And I did towards the end, but I still got pretty mad. I tried to hide it better, maybe.
Yeah, but this is a criminal offense.
Ridiculous. This is
like,
ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And awful.
So it was made pretty public. So we wanted to point it out, but not give it too much attention. All right, we've got Dan Hayes with us, covers the Twins for The Athletic, and the Twins have won 8 games in a row as of this conversation. Dan, what is going on right for this team now?
Yeah, when we talked last, I think it was 5 weeks ago, the Twins starters had the worst rotation ERA in baseball. It was 6.9 through 10 games. And obviously 2 turns, that's nothing, but they had so much weird stuff going on in that first run. Since then, the last 31 games, they're first in the majors with the 2.39 ERA. Pitching. Let's do the Twins right now are thrilled to be at the 500 mark. 21 days ago, they were 7-15. They were in a terrible spot. The season, it wasn't over because it's only 22 games, but also you've dug yourself a huge hole. Now here they are, 20. They've won 14 out of their last 20. And it's been pitching, but the pitching allowed the hitting to catch up. And I think that the infield defense probably got more sure-handed. They're not a rangy group at all, but they weren't converting the outs that they should be making before. Now they've gotten better at that. And I think that combo of all 3 things has really turned things around for them.
So what?
Kratz, you're good.
So what? Okay, sorry. It was glitchy, but I thought that was me. The Twins were a team on August, 10th last year that were in control. Is this the same looking team? They were in control of the spot that they were going to be in the playoffs, and it was more of like, okay, we're just going to cruise in. And then the end of the season came, and they were watching, not playing. Is this the same looking team when you look at it's the same personnel,
right?
Minus or plus a few guys from the minor leagues that have come up and played, decent roles in this winning stretch. But is this the same looking team in the sense of like how they go about it every night, minus Correa not having a good year yet?
Yeah, they are. I mean, look, August 17th, they were 70-53 last year. They had a 95% chance of making the playoffs. But the key thing that had happened was on August 7th or 8th, Joe Ryan suffered that injury. And all of a sudden you're down to Pablo Lopez and Bailey Ober and 3 guys that are going 5 innings max in the rotation. And your bullpen got overloaded, just got way too much work down the stretch. The rotation was solid, wasn't nearly what it would be. And this year you have 5 solid contributors. Like you look at the rotation right now, and I think Simeon Woods Richardson's at 4.01 ERA. That's the guy that it's probably the odds are the least in their favor on that day. If Pablo Lopez, Bailey Ober, or Joe Ryan's on the mound, the Twins are probably favored or very close to even. The strikeout to walk is incredible. The Twins lead baseball in strikeout to walk ratio. And so you look at that group, as long as there's health, this was a very good group last year. They had a similar slow start last year where they were 7-13 to start it off. And like I said, 7-15 this year. Then they played 63-40 ball when they figure out how to get the offense going. But it is very similar. Now, the additions have been good. Harrison Bader is 5th, I think, in defensive runs saved or total runs saved. Byron Buxton has been healthy and outstanding. Together defensively, it's a very good outfield. When you throw those guys out there, Ty France has been really consistent at first base with the bat. It's not his numbers don't blow you away, but his numbers with runners in scoring position have been outstanding. And then Danny Coulombe was their other free agent addition. He hasn't allowed a run in 15 and third innings and has really built out the bullpen. Aside from those 3, this is largely the same group. Luke Keeschel looked like a difference maker when he came up. He looked outstanding, and then he took a pitch off the forearm and is out for 2 months. So you're seeing this same group, and when you're looking at them, it's 41 games in. Carlos Correa has a sub 600 OPS. Royce Lewis had his first go-ahead or game-tying hit yesterday since September 2nd of last year. You've gotten zero production, or not zero, but you've gotten minimal production out to your guys that are supposed to be your best. Matt Wallner's been out since April 16th. They're trending up for sure because this offense is starting to finally find its way. That first, through the 7-15 start, they were scoring about 3.4 runs a game. Now they're scoring about 4.7 runs a game during the last 20. So I think that, one, the weather's getting warmer and guys talk about that. But also you just had guys starting to find their level after just terrible, terrible starts where everything seemed to go wrong.
Can you explain to me Royce Lewis? Because for the first half of his big league career, it was when he's out there, possibly MVP type of numbers, but it was just injury after injury. Then last year, I think the number was he played 53 of the last 56 games, and he ended up hitting 238. His OPS was below 750. So it wasn't that all-star type of level. Is it something that we're seeing a difference ever since the day he said, I really don't go into slumps, so I don't know what those are? Is there a difference when he's out there too much, maybe?
Okay, so wait, I want to clarify the slump thing because it sounds terrible because he did have that run and it was very bad. But what he was trying to get across, and I think some of my fellow journalists loved the I don't do slumps headline and ran with that, was he was just trying to say that he refreshes or resets his mind or tries to every day. Like, I'm not in an 0 for 30 slump. I'm 0 for 0 and goes from there. He tries mentally not to do it. I think we saw him go through it in the worst way last year. And I think he was very much dealing with a lot of stuff that he'd never dealt with before. You're right. It was a stretch like that. I think it was 58 of 61. And that's the most he'd ever played in his career at any time consecutively. Royce Lewis still has not played 162 games. He debuted in 2022. He's creeping up on 162 career games right now. So that was the longest stretch he'd ever continuously played. And it was at the end of the season. It was a trying year. That quad injury and getting back from it, I think, took a lot out of him. And he was frankly just not a good player. And his defense suffered. They talked about moving him to second base in the offseason. Everything went wrong. And Royce Lewis is an upbeat guy. He's a cheerful dude. He's just always kind of the energy guy in the clubhouse, like the positive force. And he tried to do that and maintain that. But, Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa were both missing significant chunks of time in the second half. And I think a lot of it fell on him, and he kind of collapsed under that weight. Now we just are seeing him come back. He just returned. He's played 6 games. Yesterday, he got his first hit of the season after 15 at-bats. It was an 0 for 36 dating back to last year. It was a game-tying bases loaded single. His numbers with the bases loaded are incredible. He's got 26 plate appearances. He has 31 RBIs. I think his OPS is something like 1,700 with the bases loaded. We got to see what he is. Is he that guy that was the kind of unbelievable MVP candidate, or is it somewhere in between? Because even with that terrible run at the end, you're right, his OPS finished below 750, but we're talking about 2 months where the OPS was like sub 500. And for him, that just illustrates how great he was early in the season. I think we'll get a much better picture of him if he can stay on the field, but that's been the key. Can he stay on the field? He looked really good in spring training for the first 2 weeks. Hamstring injury, it cost him 34 games. And now here he is back. And can he stay out there? That's the big question.
What we're talking Royce Lewis, we'll get to Carlos Correa in a second, but I want to know about the pitching. Like, Joe Ryan's been awesome this year for him. Bailey Over has been really good for him. Woods Richardson's been probably as good as they can expect, right, from him.
Yeah.
Pablo Lopez, when he's out there, has been really good. Paddock's still coming back. How good is this rotation? I know the bullpen with Duran and some of the other guys has been good. Jax hasn't gotten off to the start that he's had the last couple of years, but how good can this rotation be? Because they have to, the more innings they pitch, the less innings the bullpen, which can be really good, has to pitch.
Yeah, well, Ryan, Ober, and Jax just don't. Or Ryan, Ober, and Lopez don't walk guys, and they strike out at high rates. So pretty much what you're getting there, but Pablo Lopez is off to a better start right now. June is always sort of his big test. That's the month where he slumps over the last couple of years with the Twins. So we'll see how good he can be, because right now the numbers are as good as they've been early in the season since probably the first year he came over. But Joe Ryan, the other day came back after throwing up 30 times on Monday night last week, and his start got pushed back, and he had 102-degree fever. He comes out against the Giants, and you're thinking, man, you wonder if they're going to get 5 innings out of him. He said he's feeling weaker. He went 6, struck out 7, gave up 2 hits, just 1 run. And they showed pictures of him lying on the ground in the dugout in between innings. I don't know. He said he's done that all year. He said he didn't think he was going to throw up during the game, but he certainly did not feel good. And, you get him out there and out pitching Logan Webb that night. But Chris Paddock has been really good. His first 2 were terrible. His last 6, he's been a 5-inning guy, but he came out against the Giants on Friday and threw 7 1/3. Had a perfect game through 17 batters. Just his stuff was playing up. He was, velocity was a mile an hour up. When his fastball is 95, man, he can be very dangerous. When his fastball is 93, he's going to be more the 5-inning type. But even at that 5 innings, the last 5 starts had been a 2.25 ERA. I think he's got a 2.5 ERA over his last 6 now. When he's your 4th or your 5th best pitcher, you feel pretty good about that rotation when it's going like that. And Simeon Woods Richardson, they still haven't shown that they're going to trust him more than 2 times through the lineup. The other night, he was in the lead and getting to the bottom of the lineup the second time, gave up 3 straight hits against the Orioles. It was a tight game. They're chasing wins right now to get out of that hole. And so he got yanked with 4 2/3 innings. And you could tell he was not happy about it, but they turned it over to the bullpen, and the bullpen has been much better, especially of late. They're leading the league in bullpen WAR right now on Fangraphs. And that's with Griffin Jax at a 5.89 ERA. Griffin Jax, you saw it yesterday. He came in, Gave up 2 hits. It was the 4th time in 5 days, and you could tell he probably wasn't as sharp as he wanted to be. Has a hot shot come back. Doesn't move the glove. Doesn't even have a shot at moving the glove. It hits the glove. It redirects. Had that ball gone without touching his glove, it's a double play. Like Willie Castro's at the bag, inning-ending double play. Instead, he gives up the run. They tie the game. But Jax right now has a 5.89 ERA, and he has a 2.85 FIP. So we know there's a lot of bad luck that's happened with him. He's like 28 strikeouts, 4 walks. And you just don't have that kind of luck very often when you have that kind of strikeout to walk. The bullpen's loaded with those guys. And so, like, when you compare that bullpen and the way they've consistently pitched with knowing that you can pull the plug on Woods Richardson at 5 or Paddock at 5, you're going to win a lot of games because you can win a lot of close games. And what they've finally done, they were 0-17 when they didn't score 4 runs as of 3 days ago, and then they won 2 in a row that way. So they're now 2-17 when they score 4 runs or score 3 or fewer runs. They are 18 or maybe it's 19-3 when they score 4 or more runs. So they're incredible when they score 4 runs. But the pitching is going to be there to support some of these 3-1 or 2-1 victories that they just hadn't been getting before.
Dan, what's wrong? Simple question. What's wrong with Carlos Correa?
It's been a weird year. His last 15, he's hitting 322. So I think he's going to be coming around. The slug isn't there yet. And I think we saw a little bit of this last year, but it certainly has not been as good. And, 2 weeks ago, he told us, we asked, is it your wrist? And we said, what are you dealing with? Is it pain, discomfort? He's like, no, my swing sucks. He's like, that's what I'm dealing with is my swing sucks. And got to appreciate him for the honesty because he'll let you know. But even talking to people privately, they don't think it's the wrist. There was an MRI done. There's nothing major in there. In fact, somebody told me that's close to him that it was worse last year. And last year, obviously, he was an all-star. So you look at it and it's 322, 349, but the slug is still only just above 400 right now. He's like a 745 OPS the last 15 games. He needs to do that, but he needs to add the slug. I think we'll see that more as the weather is warm. He took yesterday off. I mean, he's been out there. His feet were the big question coming in. He's looked great. Yesterday was only his 3rd day off in 41. So, or 2nd day off in 41, 3rd start off in 41. So the Twins don't seem to be concerned, and I think they know. We saw him heat up last year right around this time. And when you look at what he was doing at the All-Star break before the plantar fasciitis, he was having an incredible season, on pace for 100 RBIs, hitting 315 or 310. I think they expect that will come. He's talking like it will come. I think there's just new philosophies with the hitting coaches, and they're trying to figure each other out. It's the first new hitting coach he's had in 3 years. You're your best hitting coach no matter what. We all know that, but also having the coach figure out where you're at your most comfortable and getting you to that spot again, that takes a little time. And I think all of it is there. They had so much bad cold weather that they dealt with, and we've seen it across the group. Trevor Larnach's got like an 880 OPS the same 15-game stretch. Byron Buxton's been incredible that same 15-game stretch. They finally are getting into warmer weather. They had 7 games rain delayed in their first 37 or whatever it was, or 36. They've dealt with some conditions not well, and the offense really struggled. And frankly, I mean, hitting outside in 41 degrees, I don't like standing outside in the dugout in 41 degrees, and they're trying to hit 95 miles an hour. So I get why offense is slow. I think Paul Konerko used to say it, right, AJ, about you make your hay from like May through, in the Midwest, you make your hay from May, June, July, August, September. I just think that a lot of this is April being miserable weather and him finding it now.
Yeah, but here's my thing. The other teams playing in that same weather, they didn't seem to have any problems. Right. So I hate that excuse. Yeah, because the other team's playing in it too.
Not the whole time period, though. If you're LA, Arizona.
But they come in for 3 games. They're playing in the same crappy weather as you are. So I don't know.
You played on the Twins. Although you played.
I played inside.
He played in the Metrodome. He played in the cozy days.
That's true. That's a whole nother topic.
It was 72 and crappy every day.
No break. Yeah, but Dan, this was great. Thanks for stopping by, and obviously we'll be in touch again soon.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Give Dan a follow if you don't already. Check out his work in The Athletic on the Twins. Hey, FT fam. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit, Cam, because we're busy and we would like all of the ingredients to cook up something nice and make us look like elite chefs at home.
You know what I do? I've got kids in basketball, I've got soccer, I've got baseball. And when they get home, there's a fresh meal and they think, "Oh, Dad, he's so great." Well, no, it's not me. It's HelloFresh. It's nutritious. It's packed full of good nutrients. The kids have good energy, and they look at me like I'm the greatest dad in the world. So make sure you go grab that HelloFresh because you know what? It's doing my family all the good.
Cook up dishes like chicken Dijon and pecan-crusted trout, over 100 seasonal snacks, sides, and treats as well. Feel great with meals that fit your spring schedule and make the season even more delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/FT10FM now to get 10 free meals with a free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. So AJ was at Mets Cubs this weekend. Did you see this sign that Tim Healy from Newsday pointed out? Do not stand directly next to the heater.
I saw that.
It will burn your pants.
It's in the visiting. It's on the visiting side.
Okay.
It's in the visiting dugout.
Why not both? I mean, they both have the heaters.
I don't know,
right?
but the one I saw was in the visiting dugout.
Okay.
So I don't know.
The home team knows about it. The visitors need to be made aware that those heaters pack heat.
Oh, you can get too close to them.
Yeah.
You can burn yourself on those things. They're awful. I try to stay away from them.
That's the worst. That's the worst. Not burning yourself, just that constant the whole game because the heater's just blowing.
And also, just the fumes there. It just I tried to stay away. Ozzy loved those things.
You did?
Well, I'd run over to him for 2 seconds to try to get the pine tar or the sticky stick on my bat. That was it. And then I'd run back away from him.
Mm-hmm. But they're effective. They're very strong. And yeah, if you're a manager who's not moving the whole game and it's cold, then he likes it. You're moving a lot. You guys are moving a lot.
All the Latin players would stand by it. They would just congregate by it. Their bats were always down at that end. They always did it. They did not like the cold.
Well, be careful, okay?
Yeah, I did. You know what's funny is I did see that sign this weekend when I was
did?
Talking to Dansby.
Did you think it was funny?
I was like, it's a little late for that, isn't it? We're mid-May.
Yeah, true. Maybe they had an incident.
I was like, we're mid-May here.
They definitely had an incident.
There was an incident, and someone's like, "You didn't tell us."
I mean, someone hot pants themselves.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Do we have something else dramatic going on in Boston? Let's read this out. Sean McAdams covering the team.
Celtics about to come back on that ass,
Maybe. We'll see. Sean McAdams said this. Robbie Hyde tweeting it out, our Monster Territory host. There's some growing frustration within the Red Sox organization about outfielder Ceddanne Rafaela. More than once, Rafaela has been advised in the dugout to take the first pitch in his next at-bat, only to swing freely minutes later. This is tough because this is now Robbie talking. Rafaela has been great lately, but it makes Robbie wonder what the Red Sox think about it sticking long-term. Could also be something to pay attention to with Roman Anthony, who has close to an 18% walk rate, which ranks 13th in all of minor league baseball. Yeah, he's been an on-base machine in the minors. Rafaela clearly has not. He's got other strengths, but I mean, hey, you swung at a lot of pitches.
Yeah, but there was times where I knew I couldn't swing at the first pitch.
Right.
So I'll tell the story. Brian Anderson, if you're listening, I love you, BA. We were playing Kenny Rogers, and we were trying to get him out of the game. We had a whole thing. We had a whole meeting about he doesn't, he kind of nibbles. Everyone has to take a strike all the way through the lineup. So we go 1 through 8. Everyone takes a strike, tries to get deep in the count. First pitch, Brian Anderson swings at the first pitch. And our hitting coach, Greg Walker, at the time was like, "Son," he's from South Georgia. He's like, "What are you doing?" And BA's like, "What?" He's like, "Didn't you have the meeting?" BA's like, "Oh, I forgot." I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean you forgot?
Well, he hit 9th.
Yeah, it was
That
a
was a long
9
time
hole.
ago.
But still, like
That was
these
a long
things. But these are the things, though, when you're and Rafael is a little more established than what Brian Anderson ended up being. But these are the things that would get guys mad at you, and then also coaches down on you, and then they would send you out on you because they just like he don't listen. Now it's changed a little bit. Rafael has other strengths, but these are the little things that you have to do. And it was just, when you got Jim Thome up there taking a pitch for the team and Kenny Rogers pumps him 88 down the middle, like, and you're Brian Anderson, you got to take it. I love you, BA. I'm sorry I told the story. But
that's a good story. But Rafaela is signed through 2031.
I know, but this is also the thing where people get angry and are like, some teammates will be like, dude, if I have to take one, you have to take one.
This is winning baseball. I remember Chase Utley took a 2-0 pitch. We were playing Arrieta at the time. Jake Arrieta. He got 2-0. It was a 0-0 game, and he took a fastball right down the middle, 2-1. It wasn't his time to swing. Next batter swung at the very first pitch. It wasn't Ryan Howard at the time, but very next pitch, he swings at the very first pitch of the at-bat. Chase comes in the dugout and was so pissed. He never said anything, like he never called anybody out during games loud. He was so pissed. He's like, if I'm going to take a pitch right down the middle, that means everybody's supposed to pay attention, watch the game, and you're also taking pitches because this guy is an elite pitcher. Get him out of the game. Like it's about, I think there's a shift in Boston that maybe Ceddanne doesn't necessarily see or something. And he's like, the shift is we're going to win. We're going to take team at bats. And that's what you have to do. Not every hit is as productive as some at bats are productive that don't come to fruition with a hit. Like you got to play together, all 9 in the lineup. And this is a case where he's just probably got to learn. He's still young, and his value comes from the defense. Yeah,
he's 24, right? He's super fast. He's playing elite defense, both eye test and metrics. So he is very valuable to the team. From a Red Sox perspective, I think he's close to a 2-win player already, and we're only a quarter into the season. That's good numbers.
It is.
All on defense. It's all on defense.
It goes back to the conversation we had the other day when we had Cam on. And I don't know who we were talking. I don't know who we were talking to, but we were talking about you play to the scoreboard.
Evan Grant.
You play to the scoreboard, and the scoreboard tells you what you got. Now, listen, did I swing a lot of the first pitch? Absolutely. Did I take a lot of pitches that I probably could have swung at? Absolutely, because it was if I get 2-0 and we're down 4 runs and there's nobody on base, I ain't swinging. Why would I? Because I can't hit a 4-run homer. We need to, even if I hit a home run, we're still down 3. So I need to get on base for that. So there was a million. Listen, did I ever always do everything right? Absolutely not. But I tried to do the right things, and I tried to do team things at bats. I mean, anyone can get called at bat to a bat, but there are times where, again, the scoreboard dictates how you play the game. And sometimes meetings dictate.
AJ, in an era of travel baseball, how many times do you see this? Travel baseball tournaments are 100% a showcase for kids, and that's all they're doing is they're just showcasing themselves. First pitch out, next dude comes up, first pitch rocket somewhere. Probably an out because hitting is hard. I don't care what level you're doing it in, but kids aren't learning that. So for me as a manager, if I'm having a generation of players coming up, and I'm not saying this is Ceddanne's fault, I'm saying that this kind of thing was taught in the minor leagues. We used to have Baseball 101 when I was in the minor leagues with the Blue Jays. They don't have this. They don't have this education in like early baseball. Travel team baseball is about what can you do for yourself and get that knock instead of like learning how to play as a game. And the less minor league levels that you have, the less opportunities you have to learn how to win, especially because they don't care about winning as much in the minor leagues.
I mean, I saw a 3-pitch inning this year, which I never thought I'd see in the major leagues. I saw one a hit, double play, first pitch out. Mm-hmm. And it was the 9th inning, I think, too. I was like, what? Sure. I couldn't believe it. I was like, did I just see a 3-pitch inning? I did. I saw a 3-pitch inning in the big leagues. Never. I may probably have seen one before, but it was just when you see one, you're just like, and I have conversations. Kratz talking about travel. I have a son. We both have sons, and sometimes my son will take a pitch, and people ask me why did he take that 2-0 fastball, and I'm like, well, or why did he take that first pitch heater? Well, the kid before him made a first pitch out, so he's trying, because especially in high school, like the quicker you can get that starter out of the game, because most teams have like 2 or 3 decent starters, maybe one. You want to get to the bullpen in most teams because it's high school. They're just ain't as good. So the quicker you can get that guy out, but there are times where you have to suck it up. And there were times, a lot of times after the other team scored, you'd be like, hey, take one, give our pitcher a break. If our pitcher had to back up some bases, right? Or, hey, the guy swung at the first pitch. You got to take the next one. Because if you make 2 pitches on 2 outs, the next guy's got to take 2 strikes. You should.
Right, you're flying.
Yeah, because you don't want – at least make it a 5-pitch inning.
Right. Well, to swing this back to Rafaela, the front office likes a lot of what he's done this year, even if you haven't seen the more classic OPS results. So last year in a full season, he had a 664 OPS. This year it's a 667. Actually, his rookie year was 667 as well. So you're getting the same OPS results. His walk rate is about double what it was last year in a full season. His expected numbers, which I know they're expected numbers, but they are way, way higher than what they were last year. Like his expected slugging percentage is 509. So you could say there's some batted ball unluckiness there. Barrel percentage.
Your numbers are what your numbers are.
I know, but
I hate
it's early in the season.
I hate the expected.
I'm just telling you that the front office perspective is we are seeing a lot of good indicators that this guy is improving at the plate, even though the chase percentage is still pretty wild.
That you're going to have a good expected numbers when you swing at a lot of pitches. You're going to have, because you're getting your A swing off on a B pitch. So that is where I think front offices get that wrong with the expected stuff. If you have a dude that controls the zone and his expected numbers are higher, that's when you're going to see that uptick. I agree with AJ. His numbers are his numbers. And when you're a swinger, you're going to get your expected numbers go up, and then it's almost like a crutch, kind of like I just can't catch a break. Well, you could catch a break if you wait for the pitch that you're going to drive, not just hit hard.
No doubt, but we talked about Javi Baez for the last 3 years, swinging out of his mind, and he actually did corral it a little bit this year, and look at him go. He's a very valuable player for the Tigers. Started swinging less. So
you're talking to one of the all-time swingers here. So
right, but my point is,
I put the ball in play a lot.
Are you concerned about Rafaela as a big leaguer, or do you think that the Red Sox are in a
I
good
think
spot?
This was just
24.
I think he made a mistake.
Yeah.
He's made some mistakes, and we've all made mistakes in doing stuff. And I think someone tweeted about it and said something about it, and it's just it's what happens in big markets more than smaller markets, where you just nitpick something, right? Oh well. The third bench coach for the Red Sox said Rafaela was supposed to take. We can write a whole article about this and get the fans against Rafaela. Like, he's doing exactly what he's there for. He's playing great defense. He gets on if he gets on base, he puts some pressure because he can run. Like his numbers are what their numbers are, and I don't know. This shouldn't be a big deal. If so long as someone went up to him and said, "Hey, you're not supposed to swing there," then they've done their job. Now, if he continues to do it like 10 times, then you'll have a conversation like, "Hey, dude." One time, who cares?
Yeah, nothing burger. Okay, I'm with you. I like the player, that's all. I think there's still very good potential there for him to even get the bat going a little bit more than what it's looking like, at least OPS-wise. But what do I know? All right, let's get to big leaguer Whit Merrifield joining us next on Foul Territory. Hey, for the card collectors out there, you need to know about Arena Club. You can check out our showrooms. We've all got cards in there. You can buy, you can sell, you can trade, and you can rip packs. They're called slab packs, Kratz. And then what happens if you don't like what you pulled?
You get an instant offer. You get an instant offer, but before you get that instant offer, you can show your showroom around, kind of like when I used to put the cards in the sleeves and my buddies would come over and show them. Now, bang, show them on the phone. Instant offers right there if I need it.
Yep, that instant offer is for the estimated fair market value. Accept it on the spot. Acquire the best value for your money with Slab Pack's transparent checklists and Arena Club's Slab Safe program. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, grading, or ripping packs, Arena Club is the safest, most trusted in the game. Right now, you can get 20% off your first Slab Pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul, code FOUL. Hey, back for a couple minutes. Tobias Myers was named most valuable pitcher on the Brewers last year. He was just optioned after walking 3 batters in 4 innings over the weekend, 75 pitches. His ERA is sub-4, Kratz. I mean, he's been okay. I know some Brewers fans have been calling out why him and pointing out some other names that should have been sent down instead. I wonder if there's more to the story.
I don't know what it is. And year to year, you win an award one year, the next year, you can still get sent down. Like that's the beauty of baseball. But I feel like we don't know everything because there's been some kind of back and forth, getting pulled early. They want him to go deeper into games. I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but it feels like this has kind of been brewing, and his numbers don't necessarily warrant getting sent down.
Yeah, day before that, or the start before that, AJ, 5 1/3, 6 hits, 1 earned run against the Houston Astros in a victory. I mean,
yeah, but don't remember he got taken out against the White Sox the other day because he wasn't doing things right. And Murph's trying to send a message. Sometimes you're just the wrong guy in the wrong spot, and I don't know. He'll be back. I feel like this is hey, go down, and this is a warning shot. Like go down and come back and be right. Maybe, again, we don't know the whole story. No. I don't think this is strictly on performance.
Murph's been sending some messages early on this season. He is not as happy with this team, and he's been vocal about it. It's a different approach. All right, let's bring in Whit Merrifield right now on Foul Territory. Whit, how's life?
What's up, guys? Life's great.
What's up?
Hope you guys are doing good.
Yeah, well, which shirt have we been selecting here on the golf course lately? Are you getting a lot of time in there? Are you doing a lot of training as well? What's the average day like for Whit Merrifield right now?
I haven't really adjusted my training schedule a whole lot. As far as workouts go, still get in the gym a good bit. Just keeping my body, whether I was preparing to play or not to play, my workouts would stay pretty much the same. So that's been consistent, and do that. Come home, do a nap with my daughter, and in the afternoon, if it's nice, I'll go hit some balls or go play 18 holes or go do something with her outside. So it's been great. It's been awesome.
Wait, first, before we dig into your the 2 hats over this shoulder, so your left shoulder, we should take those down. They're awful this year. So let's be fair weather fans. Cool. Yes, those. Let's take those down. It's been a rough year for the old cock. So we're gonna try.
The more I go without a job, the more I might get a call about getting back there to do a little college coaching. It's not good right now.
That's funny. But so this is my question. People still ask me this. How long do you think, if a team called you today, how long would it take you to be ready to play in a big league game?
3 weeks. I think,
wow.
I think a week to get used to cleats. Another 2 weeks really to get kind of my arm going, and I think 20 at bats, and I'd be where. I've always said I think spring training is too long. I think after you take some BP and see some pitching, once you see like the length of it, I think is more of seeing different type of pitchers. So you see like lefty ride, good changeup. You see a righty sinker. You see a sweeper, a split or two, right on right changeup. Like the length of it is, in my opinion, you want to see all of those pitches. But in a condensed situation, I think if you just run the different guys out there every day, you throw a different pitcher out there, I think it wouldn't take any time to get ready.
Okay, so you're saying it needs to be shorter. Do you think that runway is available in AAA? Like, do you think, like, to be able to see all that stuff? And also the second part of that question would be, a team calls you and says, well, we're not going to give you a big league deal. We just want you to go rehab or get going in AAA, then we'll give you a big league deal. Do you feel like you can trust big league teams in that sense?
I would say no to that. Yeah, I would say no to that. But I mean, I would say the first 2 weeks would kind of be the build up for what I was talking about, and then maybe, you know, like one of the 6-game series that they play now in the minor leagues. I think from my perspective, that would be the window that I would need to be ready. You know, teams would probably feel different, and but yeah, if you're asking me, that's what I would need.
All right, I see a pink bat in the background. Maybe it's not pink, maybe it's just faded red. You have a little, and yesterday was obviously Mother's Day. So
Yep.
First a baseball question, then an actual Mother's Day question. If you got, well, for you, it would have to be a big game. It would have to be 4 for 4. You get 2 hits all the time anyway. You go 4 for 4 with the pink bat. Did you ever petition to use the pink bat again the next day because you raked with it? And did you get to celebrate anything? The fact that you were home on Mother's Day and not trying to play a day game somewhere?
Yeah. No, I tell people it's been nice chasing around a little 2-year-old, not chasing sliders in the dirt. So that's been a little bit better transition. But no, I mean, I never petitioned because we always got those fancy bats, and I never had a good day with them. So I used them because I felt like I'd be letting my mom down if I didn't use the pink bat. But I never seemed to have success with it. So no, I didn't petition to continue to use it. I needed to get back to the old black and brown bat.
Well, I mean, Yelly had the same issue. Christian Yelich had the same issue. He never hit well with them, and he was in a little bit of a funk. And yesterday, he went dinger, base hit up the middle. He went oppo dinger, base hit up the middle in Tampa, and he used it. So did you ever get to the point where you were like, Mom, sorry, like I need to stay hot. I'm not using it. Or did you never go that far?
I probably should have, but I tried to pretend like I wasn't that superstitious. So, but I really was, and just tried to fight it when really I should have just gone with it and said, Mom, listen, I love you, but I'm not going to use the pink bat today. But yeah, I don't know, for whatever reason, I never had success with any of the fancy bats.
That's okay. There's only one day a year. I mean, come on, you could do it for your mom. You could take 0 for 4 for
Yeah.
Mom. So anyways,
Exactly.
I don't remember doing anything great either with one, but I still did it because we all love our mother, and her mother would make them happy. So it's a big deal. All right, let's get to some big topic stuff. The strike zone stuff, the strike zone shrinkage. Are you down with this? Are you down with the shrinkage? And do you think that it's a good thing that they didn't tell anybody that it went from 2 inches to 3/4 of an inch?
Yeah, the no communication there was interesting. I didn't know that nobody knew about it. So that's a pretty big red flag in my opinion. I think the buffer zone itself was a little bit it was going to create problems, you know, because you have players now that are getting these swing grades and they're getting graded on whether or not they're swinging the good pitches or not. So that doesn't quite add up to the buffer zone that umpires were having. So, yeah, I think the buffer zone needed to get shrunk. So I do think that's a good thing. But not telling anybody that you're doing it is quite the strategy.
Is there a way that they can curtail this? Because you've been on the committees. Is there a way that players can be like, hey, we need more transparency? Or do you feel like guys have done all they can do and it's really just Major League Baseball saying –
I mean, that's been a pretty constant harp is, hey, like, let's just be transparent. Let's tell us what's going on. Let's just tell the players what you're planning to do, because you're going to have, you know, he's got control anyway. He can do what he wants to do, and just tell us what you're going to do. So I was obviously wasn't in locker rooms this spring and whatever to be a part of those conversations when they came about, but I was shocked to hear that. One, I didn't know the buffer zone shrank, so when I heard that, I was like, okay, well, good thing. And then I heard that nobody knew that it shrunk, and I was like, okay, that's bold strategy, especially when you're trying to gain back some good graces with the players. But it is what it is.
All right, let's talk about switching positions or learning new positions kind of on the fly with Rafael Devers refusing to play first base. How hard is that? Because you had to do it, and that was an extreme value that you have. 2, is that fair for an organization to ask a superstar, not just an all-star like you, a superstar to change positions and learn it on the fly so that the team can win?
I think there's a lot to what's going on over there. There's a lot of layers to it. I think in a special circumstance with a special team, I think that the team always has the right to do that. But I think because of what happened to Tristan, I think it's from a player's perspective, it's fair game that they ask Rafi to, hey, let's try to work on first base. The other layer to it for me is that Rafi's been paid. They paid him. He's going to make his money now no matter what. So if he goes over there and for the rest of this year, even next year, if they ask him to play first base next year, if he's got some bad defensive numbers, it doesn't really matter, from a salary standpoint, because he's already been paid. Now, if this is a guy who's going through arbitration or coming up on free agency, and you're asking him to change positions in the middle of the season to something he hasn't done, and it's going to hurt him from a defensive standpoint, and then that's going to be used against him when he's trying to negotiate a contract, that's messed up. And that's when I would say that team is really hurting this kid by doing this. But with the Rafi situation, I get that he's not comfortable over there and doesn't want to go and try to do it in the middle of the season and, embarrass himself with certain plays and maybe be out of position here and there and, get criticized for that. But, when you make the money he's making, it just kind of comes with that territory. So yeah, that's kind of my thought on what's going on over there in Boston.
Stay in the AL East here, a team you played for and you know very well, the Blue Jays. When they changed the fences, did it make that big of a difference? Because Vladdy and Bo, they can't hit a home run. I mean, Bo has one. Vladdy doesn't have many more, right? They signed Vladdy to the huge deal. Do you think Bo is next? And again, where has all the power gone for the Blue Jays? They used to just flick balls out of the Sky Dome.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened over there, but it was noticeably different the way the ball carried when they did the renovations. It's got kind of on the right up against the lines. It's got kind of the cutouts that are the kind of a big fence but shorter, and you can still miss a ball and get it out there. But once you get to the gaps in center field, I mean, it's a poke. You got to really poke it to get out, and it used to not be that way there. So you would think because it's a dome that it wouldn't make you couldn't really change the way the ball carried, and maybe it's just in our heads, but it sure was different after the renovation to feel the ball carry to the gaps in the center field. So that's probably a little bit of it. At this point, there's probably some pressing going on. With those guys knowing that they haven't hit that many home runs, and then you try to hit home runs, and then you don't hit home runs. So Bo just got to keep doing his thing and keep being Bo, and he'll get hot and he'll pop 5 home runs, before you know it, and in a week, and then he'll kind of get back on track. And same with Vladdy. Vladdy will turn the video game on and just start hitting everything over the fence. But yeah, Bo's in a different position because doesn't have that contract yet. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know what happened, and I don't know if there's a reason for it. But the ball's definitely not carrying like it used to in the Rogers Center.
Sky Dome. It'll always be the Sky Dome. We can't call it Rogers Center. It's like it's always the Sky Dome. All right. Before we let you go, I got one question for you. I want you to rank these 4 jobs in either the most likely to happen for you or which one you would want to do the most. Major league player, golf pro, Players Association, something or other.
Rep,
yeah. Or South Carolina's head coach.
Let's go from the bottom to the top. Least player association, whatever. Until they fix the NIL transfer situation, and that's the next. And then it's a hard one. Yeah, that's a hard one.
It's harder than you thought, isn't it?
It's
a harder answer than you
think.
thought.
But no, I mean, I would say right now because I still feel like I can do it. Baseball or golf pro would be second, and then top of the list be a baseball player.
So if Paul Maneri called you right now and said, "Whit, I need you to come help my staff out because we stink," you wouldn't jump on there because he's older. He's an older fella. In 3 years, he's like, "Whit, you could just slide right in and take over." You would say no to that.
I hate the way the college game is set up right now, and all sports with the NIL and the transfer portal, and frankly, watching some college games, the way the game is played down there is it's hard to watch. So maybe in that sense, I could go down there and feel like I could help change the way the game's played at the college level. But no, I had no interest in recruiting a kid who all he wants to do is make as much money as he can and then have to recruit him again every year because there's a risk that he transfers. So it's a bad setup right now in the NCAA, and hopefully it gets fixed, but I don't know how they're going to do it.
Make them sign contracts.
There you go. That's a big
Agreed. One. Or make them incentive based. I always say make it incentive based. Why are you paying a guy who's never played a down $4 million? He's never played one down in college football. The guy from Michigan that they paid $10 million, he's a high school kid. There was $10 million. He hasn't done anything. He can leave. Be like, yep, here's my thanks, $10 million out.
People always had to recruit. They didn't have to do what Whit said on the back end of his answer, which is then convince him every single year to have to stay. If they sign a contract because they're pros at this point, like pros do, then it would be different.
Yeah, but talk to college coaches. They have to recruit high school. It's better now they changed the rules, though. They used to have to recruit middle schoolers, high schoolers, JUCO, other colleges. And the worst part was they had to recruit their own team back every year. You have to say, all right, well, if you listen to college football coaches now, they do their press conference at the end of spring, and they say, well, we have 90 players on the roster. We've made contracts with 87 of them, deals for them to come back, but there's 3 we don't know about. And they leave. Those 3 leave. You're like, what are we talking about? I agree. It'd be tough.
It's a whole different podcast.
It is. That's an hour right there. We do have our Baseball America show later on. Maybe we can get into it there. But Whit, thanks for the time, man. Good to see you.
No doubt. Good to see you guys.
Come on down to Florida, Whit. I'm always happy to get in your pocket.
Yeah, love to.
Yep.
My game's trending, though. Watch out.
That's why I'll get a lot of strokes. A lot of strokes.
Later, Whit.
All right. See you guys.
FT fan, be right back. You want to watch the hottest team in the National League tonight for free in the BetMGM app? You can. The Cardinals going for a 9th consecutive win. They're going to run into the Phillies at 6:45 Eastern. Live streaming available to any BetMGM customer that's logged in with a funded account. Get after it. All right, let's go back to Friday. And Pap is still screaming for his dub. He picked the Padres with the run line. That was the 6-3 game, I think. So that was the closer game. Saturday, if you picked the Rockies to fall by 20 or more, you still were successful. Number. That was probably a number that's not even on the board. Right?
It's like at the bottom of the app where it says pitcher to throw a perfect game.
Yes.
It's probably even higher than that.
It's probably higher, 20 runs. Anyway, the rest of us fell. So let's get back on track. Todd Father and Pap are in good shape right now, both well in the plus, and your 3 regulars are struggling. But more heat on us because those guys don't get overexposed. We have to put up numbers every single day. That's my excuse. But anyway, what are you doing today?
I just suck right now. I'm like the Gamecocks. I suck. I'm going parlay Colin Ray under 17.5 outs because he usually is a 5 and dive. He's gone 6, I think, once. So against the Marlins. And then I'm going fastball full many Freddie Peralta over 16.5. So you tell me he's not going to make it into the 6th inning against the Cleveland Guardians, who are kind of not got great on offense. So that's it. It gets me to plus 243, and I'm just going 100. I got to get back on tracks.
I like that play because I'm going 115 to win 100, under 8 runs in that Guardians-Brewers game. Neither offense is amazing. Ben Lively's been pitching better the last couple of starts, looking good, and Freddie P. to carry the
Freddie P's
Brew
been
Crew.
pitching really well.
Yeah, that's
Late
why.
night for the Guardians last night, against the Phillies.
Yeah, you got travel. I feel like Monday sometimes offense is a little down, especially when you're matching up against a big boy like Freddie P. So I think that'll be a low-scoring game that kind of moves quickly. We'll see what happens. We'll get to Kratz and Pap when we swing back to our BetMGM locks. But coming up next, we've got an update on Shohei Ohtani's bullpen session and recovery. We'll also spend a minute on, that series was pretty fun, the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. So we'll do that when we swing back. In the weeds, we've got another Ohtani update, 20 months since surgery. And remember, he hasn't pitched with the Dodgers yet. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it feels like he's been on the Dodgers for a long time, but he accomplished a lot last year. We'll give him a little break. He is rehabbing now in a bullpen session that featured 35 total pitches, fastballs, and splitters with an up-down in between. Next up on progress would be mixing in some breaking balls.
And a couple extra coaches there to watch him. I mean, we got his translator, we got an assistant GM, we got a GM, we got 4 coaches. Man, oh man, he's going to get staph infection.
If you were around, wouldn't you want to watch?
Yeah. I mean,
to watch
the Japanese media counts every one of his pitches too. Just like when you go over there as an American, they count every one of your home runs in BP. Very on top of things.
Well, I mean, he's the most famous player in the world by far, and he's trying to get back to do something that nobody else does. Yeah, so that's why some people are like, "Oh, I don't need the updates like this." It's a big deal. It's going to be cool if he comes back and can pitches again. I know you are, but it's unprecedented. It's going to be cool if he can come back. The Dodgers got some news about Blake Snell over the weekend. Sounds like he's not progressing as quickly. And Tyler Glasnow. They're both going to get checked out again. I know you guys are shrugging, like whatever.
No, I'm not struggling. I'm just thinking that like I just want to see how this plays out because I can throw a bullpen and go up and down and not throw sliders and be like, I'm ready to pitch, but until I have to get out there, it's a different animal. So I'm glad he's going in the right direction. I just want to see where he ends up.
Mm-hmm. He's going to end up, Kratz, July, 25th, maybe, back on a mound. So we're still
months away.
2 months away. But at least the progress has been good. They're slow playing the crap out of this as they should. You haven't heard bad news.
Right. You haven't heard that his velocity's all the way up yet. Like there's some monster steps. They're just going in a progression here. Like if you're in spring training, your first or second bullpen as a starter, you're doing up downs. First one's probably 25, 30 pitches, depending on where you progressed. And then you're sitting there going up downs. So he's far away. I just hope the news from this weekend doesn't make fans think, now we got to rush him, because the Dodgers will not rush him. And it's okay because they're blazing a new trail. Nobody's ever done this. Nobody's ever rehabbed while playing every day and then gotten back out on a big league mound.
Mm-hmm. They're a game up on the Padres. Diamondbacks played them tough. Obviously, it was good Sunday win for the Dodgers, 8-1. Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman, a combined 9 for 14 with a couple homers. They showed up. But I mentioned, they're missing 2 guys who project as number ones. Both have a very checkered injury past. May and Gonsolin are back. Yamamoto's shining. Roki Sasaki has been wobbly, but he's a rookie. He's getting acclimated.
They'll be fine. Not worried about the Dodgers.
You're not, right?
Not worried about the Dodgers.
Do you think they need to win the division, or you don't care?
They would like to because it would help their pitching.
They want to.
Yeah.
They want to.
Obviously, they want to. If they end up a wild card team,
So nobody's going to want to play them.
sure. But it puts you in a weird spot.
The wild
You can
card
lose
teams
a
usually
short
win.
series.
Wild card teams last year.
Well, now we're playing that game.
Well, I'm just saying.
Last year, the Dodgers and Yankees were bye teams, and they made it through. So
Well, yeah,
the trends are thrown in the garbage now.
Well, everyone's playing. We had too much time off.
Yeah. I know. Did you guys catch any of that series, though? It was pretty fun. I mean, every game was like a very different flavor.
No, I caught
game.
Shohei, though, mimicking Gurriel's homer, which was awesome.
Awesome.
It was awesome. He's like, oh, yeah, Gurriel, you want to do that? I do this much better.
I didn't think he had that in him.
I didn't either, but it was awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Shohei. Thank you. Thank you.
I
It
love
was
that.
so awesome. So
It
awesome.
shows what they're talking about on the bench. And with division rivals, you can always see this little bit of angst that comes out. Like that guy might be a good player, but this about him burns me up. Like, it wasn't a game-winning hit. It was a big homer. And Shohei didn't just come up with this on his own. In my opinion, dudes on the bench were talking about it, and we had to ask Max about it. But it is, perfect mimicking. Perfect. All the way from the arms up to when he came around third, he did the exact same high five with the third base coach. Like, that's clutch trolling.
Obviously, leave it to Shohei to completely nail the
It's
home
awesome.
run,
I
the bat
love
flip
it.
mimic, the home run trot, the whole deal. I mean, it was the difference, right? That was a 3-run homer in the ninth. They ended up winning 14-11 in that game. 25 total runs, 25 hits in that game. That was the game. That was the game where you're like, oh my gosh, this feels like a playoff game with bad pitching. But it was really fun.
What's up, my people of FT, all my gamblers of FT Nation? You know who it is today. We sticking with Pick 'em Pap. I only got one for you, but listen, we're not gonna come off this bet until we lose a couple in a row, which I don't think we're gonna lose 2 in a row, and we're gonna ride it up. We're betting against the Colorado Rockies for the rest of the season, bar none. So run line today -2.5 plus 115. That means we putting 200 on it. And we're gonna win 230, and we're gonna keep pressing this bet over and over, and we're not gonna stop. We're just gonna pile up the cheese, baby. Let's get it.
Run line Pap. He loves trends. Good for you.
And he loves picking on bad teams. Last year was the White Sox, so once again, the Rockies have become the White Sox. It's not a good thing.
It's more consistent to bet against the Rockies for your run lines than the White Sox. The Rockies have been getting torched in a lot of games.
They won yesterday, though.
They did win yesterday. 9-3, I think, right? Was the final?
So they waited for Bud Black to win a game before they fired him?
Yeah.
That's bad timing.
I mean,
interesting play.
That Saturday before the game, they were like, oh, no, nothing enough
Then they
to
lose
fire
21-0, and they're like, no, we're keeping them. They win. They're like, yep, Bud, thanks for your service.
We know who made that call.
And then they went on the road. The teams go on the road. That's when they fire.
Right.
Sorry. Go ahead, Kratz.
You just go home. Kratz, what's your pick? Your last.
Easy. Money line. They got the Diamondbacks. I think they came off a great series against the Dodgers, playing a really tough team. I don't think there's going to be a letdown. They get to face the Gigantes. Pretty sure it's the Giants. But anytime I can get the Diamondbacks right now on a money line, I'm good. I think the bullpen's coming around, and they don't even have all their pieces. Merrill Kelly will come out and give you a little bit.
They are playing the Diamondbacks tonight. Good divisional battle. And if you're a BetMGM account holder, you'll get an any sport parlay boost token. You score a bigger payout if your wager with the parlay boost token hits. Tokens can be used on parlays and same game parlays. Obviously, if you're not going baseball, there's some good hockey and basketball action going on right now too. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Swinging back for slap hands, which includes a JJ Cooper cameo. JJ's going to go over some recent call-ups. Let's slap. AJ's up first.
I got a couple birthdays. First, Lance Lynn's birthday's today. So happy birthday, Lance. But also, I noticed that Lou Whitaker's birthday is today. And Yogi Berra. But how the hell is Lou Whitaker not in the damn Hall of Fame? He's got 75 WAR. 75 WAR. And he's got all like 4 digits. When you look at your baseball reference and they're all like 4 digits, that means you were really good. 75 WAR. 75. Yogi Berra's was only 59.
He got screwed.
He needs to be in. Somebody figure out how the hell we get Lou Whitaker in.
Agreed.
And then second of all, we had a conversation about this, and don't tell me that I'm not the Pope's favorite player. Just saying. Look at that.
Wow.
I mean, that was right after he was introduced. That
was under the shirt, right? Because we didn't see that.
No, that was he took it off once the cameras went away.
Gotcha.
So I had a special spy there that took a picture of it.
Special.
What's the guy's name? Stanley Tucci. He's on his left right there too, taking a picture. You know who Stanley Tucci is?
No,
I think that's his name.
Tucci Bat? Is that Tucci
the
Bat?
The actor guy?
Oh, yeah.
I know isn't that him on the left? Well,
it's got some similar looks. I know who you're talking about. Well, congrats to the Pope for obviously becoming the Pope and also for being a White Sox fan,
and
apparently.
AJ fan. If you need a cameo, Pope, you cameo me. Hit me.
What a choice.
All right, we got a few minutes left, YouTube fam. So let's hit JJ Cooper, who's letting us know about some pretty big deal call-ups. And also you'll see JJ later on Hot Sheet if you want to join us live. That show's at 3:30 Eastern time. But here's JJ on Cade Horton. Oh, actually, give us 1 sec. Let's do Kratz hats, then JJ's clip will be ready. Kratz?
Diamondbacks money line today. Might as well go with their spring training hat. This is maybe one of the hardest logos in the game. I love the teal or whatever color this is, but that snake, it's nice.
If I knew nothing about baseball, I would pick that
Does
out.
Kratz have a playoff mustache going right now? I'm just wondering.
Oh, I'm glad you noticed.
Playoff mustache.
Do you have a playoff mustache going right now?
Mustache May.
Okay.
Wow, it's May. I forgot about that. All right, JJ Cooper, take it away.
Cubs have every reason to be excited about right-hander Cade Horton's MLB debut. They needed some help in the rotation with Justin Steele out with a UCL injury and Shoto Imanaga on the IL with a hamstring. So with a need for a big league starter to step up, Horton did step up. He showed the 95-plus mile-an-hour fastball. He showed the slider. He even broke out a changeup that kind of, I think, surprised Juan Soto a little bit. He showed feel for pitching. He showed the ability to throw strikes. This Cade Horton looks like he's ready to stick around. This is kind of a natural progression for him. He does have significant AAA time. We'll see, if he can stick there long term for the full season, but there's no reason for the Cubs not to rely on Cade Horton in the short term, the medium term, and definitely in the long term as well.
Okay, there you go. That's JJ.
He threw well on Saturday. He made one mistake to Brent Beatty that he had a 3-run homer.
Yep.
He hung a slider, and people in the chat were like, "Oh, why'd you say if he throws him a slider?" I'm like, "Well, I wouldn't expect him to throw a middle-in slider 0-2 to Brent Beatty. I was expecting him to bounce it. If he bounces, he's done."
Right.
But he threw it right down the middle. So let me say this, and Kratz, I want your opinion on this. And we had this discussion. he didn't start the game. He came in the second inning. They did the opener because they didn't want him to face Lindor and Soto and Alonso in the first in his major league debut. But if he's that dude, why not? If he's your dude, why not?
Lawnmower front office. They're just trying to pave the path for him. They're calling guys up to hit like, oh, he struggles against lefties. We'll only give him some right-handed starts. Then he ain't that good of a prospect. Put that man out there. You never did that to him in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
You never did that to Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw, CC Sabathia. None of these dudes, man. He's a dude. They're not doing it they didn't do it on the Cubs to Shota. They didn't do it to Justin Steele, right?
It's the same thing with platoons. You have to be careful. If you're trying to develop a star, you tell me. You have to be careful. The Orioles, I think, have botched this lately. They're playing big platoon games, and they've got a lot of young hitters. How's the hitting going?
I don't know.
Not great.
I mean, it worked out. They won the game. I understand that, but
yeah. But did they win the marathon? Cade's got to start the next time around. But good call out there by JJ. You'll see him on Hot Sheet, 3:30 Eastern time. After that show, Trevor Mays on the FT Network. Great show. Check that out. There it is. Mayday, part of the FT Network. He's on at 4 o'clock after Hot Sheet. So I'll see you all for some prospect talk at 3:30. You can stick around if you're a Dodger person. Dodgers territory coming up next. We'll flip you to it.